So not too long ago, Tim and I were in Zurich with some friends. We traveled with our friends, the Rogers. And when we were in Zurich, it was John Rogers' birthday. And we said, John, you pick a restaurant, we'll buy dinner for your birthday. And he picked this place called August. It was fabulous. It was a brasserie, so it had all different kinds of meats and sausages. And Tim ordered Fleischkase. I'm butchering that. I know I'm butchering that. He asked our waiter, what is Fleischkase? And our waiter said, simply meatloaf. And so we decided to go with it. And it was fabulous. Unlike our meatloaf, it was very pale in color and the texture was more like a pate, just very, very, very delicious. And so I thought I wanted to come home and try to replicate Fleischkase in our own home, starting with the meat. Now, typically you have to work with partially frozen meat. So I'm also reducing the fat a little bit because it's like, it has pork belly and all these other things in it. And so I'm using some ground chicken, but I'm also using some sausage because it does need a decent fat content to have the right texture. So I've broken the ground meat up into little pieces and froze it for about 30 minutes. And it gives it the perfect texture to keep the Fleischkase nice and cold while you process it. All right, I'm going to start blitzing in my food processor. And this is the other thing about Fleischkase is it uses some shaved ice, crushed ice. And so I have about 1.5 cups of crushed ice here. And you want to put the ice in little by little and let it process along with the meat. Quite unique, eh? I can see it's coming to the texture that I want. If you see at the bottom here, it's like a puree. It's not chunky like American meatloaf, and we're looking for that pureed consistency. And so I'm just going to kind of press some of it down. All right, I'm gonna pause it for a minute and add my seasonings. Now I've got some thyme. I had fresh thyme, but you can use dried thyme as well. I have a teaspoon of Aleppo pepper just because that's me. I like the pepperiness of that. You can leave it out. I have salt and I have ginger, nutmeg, and powdered garlic. And that all goes into this mixture. And I'm gonna continue to process it until it's really nice and smooth. The ice is doing the trick to keep this mixture a bit chilled, which is what I want. I'm gonna actually check the temperature here. Great, you don't want it to be above 55 degrees. And right now this meat is 30, which is perfect. Okay, you can see the texture and the consistency of this. It looks like a mousse. And so I'm going to put it into my parchment lined baking pan. I'm using a loaf pan for this. That is looking lovely. I'm kind of tapping it. I want to make sure it's packed down in there very nicely. And then I smooth out the top because there's this traditional diamond pattern that's atop Fleischkase. And I'm going to try to make that here. It's just totally up to you. But I'm using an offset spatula, palette knife, if you will, to smooth out the top. My parchment paper is going to help me remove this from the pan very easily. Crisscross one way. And then crisscross the other way. Should give me the diamond pattern that I'm looking for. And it does. That's quite lovely. And this goes into my water bath right here, which is just a pan that I have a little bit of water in. And I'm going to bake this for at least an hour till it's completely cooked. I tried to replicate the Fleischkase, the meatloaf that we had in Zurich at that lovely restaurant in August.
So good.
It was so good, so different from what we're used to as meatloaf.
Yes.
And so
totally.
This is the byproduct. I would love you to taste that. I've given you an assortment of mustards like they did
awesome.
in August.
Yeah.
They had these mustards out on the table that were so delicious. and you just, whatever sausages or meats you were having, there's all these mustards to dip it in, and it was great.
We'll try the spicy.
This looks very similar. If you can see the texture of this, it's almost like a mousse in the middle, like a pate. It's not, it's very, very fine. It's not like American meatloaf, very different. All right, so what do you think?
It's very good.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
You like it?
I like it.
Okay. I think this is going to be on our serve to company menu.
Absolutely. I'm
All
going
right.
to try a different mustard.
Okay.
There's like 3 or 4 to
I've
choose
given
from.
you some different options, and the one in the middle is a maple mustard. Good? All right, just a nice little light arugula salad under that. So.
Very nice.
All right, I'm going to grab myself a plate too, because this is making my mouth water. Thank you. Success. Check out the recipe. It's on tkfoodie.com. And if you want to see some of our Northern Italy and Switzerland photos from this trip too, check that out on the travel page.
We'll see you there.